It's always a pleasure to talk to you about those movies because they have such a big fan base and they have such a big, following to them. For you, do you feel it, or you obviously shot it before the whole hoopla?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, we knew we weren't completely flying blind. This wasn't like a first timer, all fingers crossed, hopefully someone will be interested in Middle-earth. We knew people were interested in Middle-earth. That doesn't take away the pressure of having to make good films. Of course, you still have to deliver, but we knew there was an audience there. So that gives you kind of a sense of safety in a way that at least there will be an audience for this. They might hate it and they might love it, but people will come, And as it's turned out that people... Generally, I think obviously some people don't like it, but generally people have loved them, and that's been lovely for us.
We're talking about amazing battles in this one. So were you also, from your point of view, amazed when you saw what the technology can do to it?
Yes, because of course you're only seeing, on the day when you're doing it live, you're only seeing to a certain extent what there is actually going to be on the screen. And every time I've seen these, I saw the last one last night, and you're always amazed by what they've actually done with it. Because you could be shooting in a car park, you could be shooting next to a brick wall, or a lot of the time obviously a green wall, and what the world that they build around it is phenomenal every single time.
Also the character of Bilbo goes through such a character arc as well in this one. So tell us as much as you can tell us about what he faces in this one.
Well, he faces what looks like almost certain death, as do all the dwarves and the forces of right, I suppose, the forces of sort of good. He tries to avert a war. Basically, he tries to be Kofi Annan. He's like the peacemaker in this film, and he uses because he's the only one of him. He's not siding with this side or that side, and people, the elves and the dwarves They don't associate hobbits with anything bad. Hobbits have never done anything bad historically to either of those peoples. But whereas the enmity between dwarves and elves, even though there are times they should be on the same side, they're old historical attitudes that go back years. Hobbits are totally free of that. So no one really hates hobbits in the film. I was like, well, they're fairly trustworthy. They've never done any harm. So Bilbo is able to use that to good effect by being trustworthy and by telling people the truth. Although he doesn't always tell the truth. He sometimes lies, but even then it's in a good cause.
Absolutely. Very sweet man.
Yeah, very sweet man.
People love him.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Well, what is for you the most resonant political or socio-political theme in all of this, in everything Tolkien has written and Peter Jackson has kind of put on?
Well, I guess from the point of view of who I'm playing in it, it's very clear for me. I think most people in the audience are more like Bilbo than anybody else in the film, I think. Because Bilbo, although he isn't a human being, is very close to a human being, and he lives the sort of life that most of us sort of want to live, i.e. one free of war, one free of massive stress, blah, blah, as a reasonably simple life. And I think that Bilbo doesn't want there to be war. He doesn't want to find himself in war. He tries to avert war in this one. And I think most human beings are like that. I think, I don't know what it teaches us or what it tells us, but I think it's very apparent that we as a human audience watching this film go, oh God, there's going to be some carnage, it's going to be horrible, And we don't really want that in the world, But I don't quite know why we haven't figured out how to not have wars in the last million years, but we haven't yet. But generally, people don't want them. Do you know what I mean? People don't fucking want them at all. So I think that's another reason why they relate to Bilbo,
Yeah, absolutely. The fans wanted to know if there was ever a boring moment in the shoot of such films.
Yeah, there are. There are. I mean, not that many, but yeah. I mean, we've already said, about the first film. Scene 88 was like this mammoth, gargantuan scene that just seemed to go on and on and on, and all it required was just endless running across the plains of New Zealand. So by day 3 of that, you're kind of going, really? Are we still doing this chasing scene or running away scene? Being chased by wargs. That's what it was. That got a bit testing. But even that was kind of fun because you're in a big group. So there are very few moments where you're actually bored because there's no reason to be, you know, you're playing a fantasy character in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
There's an orc, there's a warg, there's a wizard. It's like, it's not boring, you know.
No, but by no means.
By no means.
So on that behalf, you know, the most spectacular scene in your book, which one was it?
Well, I have to say, you know, there are breathtaking scenes, I think, in this third one, just from a choreographic point of view, which Peter is amazingly good at. Just when dealing with that scale and those big numbers involved in the battle of the five armies are amazing. You know, I think those are extraordinary and one of the things, not the only thing that he's very good at, but are one of the things he's really best in the world at, I think, of those huge scenes where that aren't just baffling. You still know what's going on, and there is still a human cost because he always cuts back to someone's eyes, or he always cuts back to someone's face. You know, that you see fear, or you see vulnerability, or hate, or whatever it is you see. It's not just a load of blokes firing guns or swords at each other. There's always a human cost.
And for you, what will you take most out of being part of such a, you know, amazing array of films, and especially linking it to the Lord of the Rings, making it a, you know, sixology? Is that how?
Yeah, maybe. Well, professionally, just the fact that I'm part of that thing is a real honour. You know, to be part of something that will be seen for decades, and who knows, maybe longer than that to come. You know, but it'll outlive me. And there aren't many things you do in your life that you know will have a longer life than yours. And personally, it was, you know, the people I met, really. That was, you know, I love meeting and working with everyone from Peter on down, you know, to all the cast, and the crew that I worked with was second to none. So that was kind of what I took away as Martin from it. Yeah.
And will you sit down at home and watch the six together?
No. Not in one go. Maybe in a week. I might watch like one a day. That's where being a father is quite handy, because you're more encouraged to do it by your children. So it's more likely, now that I'm a dad, it's more likely that will happen. Yeah.